Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to the channel, episode 195. So, I know I'm quite late with some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about, but when this stuff dropped last week, I was not feeling it. I didn't want to make a cancel episode, especially after like the two I made last week, episodes 193 and 194, where it was a big old extravaganza because of the whole writer's strike and Disney moving all their movies because of it. Yeah, and not to mention, last week at work I had to do like a bunch of mandatory overtime. It sucked. It wore me out. So I just I didn't have the much energy to make another cancel episode. I was like, I'll just wait till something else happens. Thankfully, something else did happen. Technically, yesterday as I'm recording this, so here we are. So we might as well talk about the news that allowed this cancel episode to exist. And that revolves around Wicked Part 2. So, Wicked Part 2, it's moving up by like a whole month. So instead of coming out Christmas 2025, it's coming out Thanksgiving 2025 in November. Literally, the exact same thing happened with Wicked Part 1, where that went from Christmas to November. Same thing. I'm pretty sure was it the same thing? Yeah, it was the same thing. Um I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, I don't have really any connection to Wicked. I've never seen the musical. But for me, it feels so weird that this is a two-parter movie. Like I expect this for like a big blockbuster epic or something. Or like, if like a book, getting like a two-part finale, because that was like the rage back like in the early 2010s. Like Harry Potter, Twilight, Hunger Games, like their final movies were all split into two parts. They were given the part 1, part 2 treatment. And that was like a trend for a while, and then it just died for some reason. I don't know why. But, Avengers, Infinity War, that was supposed to be Infinity War Part 1 too, but that just became Infinity War and Endgame. And then, remember Justice League Part 2? Yeah, Justice League was supposed to be one of those. Justice League Part 1, Justice League Part 2. We never got Part 2. the if we did get Part 2, it would have came out the same year as, I believe, Endgame. Could you imagine like a Avengers movie and a Justice League movie coming out the same year? That would have been like crazy to think about. And even if that it did happen, I don't think Justice League Part 2 would have done that well. So, maybe it's for the best it doesn't exist. And then there's like another one, more obscure one in the grand scheme of things. Divergent. Yeah, Divergent. It was like the way it was supposed to go was like you got Divergent, then you got Insurgent. And then the final movie was going to be split into two. It was going to be Allegiant, then Ascendant. But Allegiant was so bad and it did awful at the box office that it killed Ascendant. They never made the finale. So that series pretty much went unfinished, which I think is pretty funny. But now recently, it seems like Part 1, Part 2 is coming back in full force. I mean, Across the Spider-Verse, that's supposed to be a two-part sequel, except instead of calling the third movie Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, they're calling it Beyond the Spider-Verse. They also have more direct, Dead Reckoning. Dead Reckoning Part 1, Dead Reckoning Part 2 from Mission Impossible. There you go. Technically, Fast X is a Part 1 of a Part 2 sequel. It's the first part of a two-parter sequel. So now we got Wicked. So yeah, it's weird we're bringing this trend back now. I don't quite understand why, but whatever, I guess. When it comes to Wicked, I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping it's not another like Cats. That's all I'm hoping for. Um, But yeah, I don't really have a lot more to say about it. So, yeah, but for all you Wicked fans, I guess this is good news for you. So now it's time to talk about the old stuff. But this is definitely like the biggest thing that happened like last week. These mystery movies, these Sony Marvel mystery movies coming out in November 2024 and June 2025. We don't know what these movies are, but there's a lot of speculation that these movies could be Venom 3 or Spider-Man 4, the MCU edition. um and there is a very good possibility that it could be both. I mean, the last time we saw Venom and Spider-Man, live action Spider-Man, on the big screen was in 2021, so 2 years ago. But I mean, we've heard stuff about both movies. I know Venom 3 was technically announced like well, it was unofficially, it was kind of announced, sorta, last year. But then, like, this year, I've heard like they've had like some casting reports. So it seems like that movie's starting to get off the ground. And then with Spider Man 4, Tom Holland just had an interview where he mentioned he was looking at Spider Man 4 scripts. So it feels like maybe that's going to get off the ground soon. Or at least as soon as like this whole writer strike ends. Like once the writer strike is over, then it'll be much easier for these movies to actually, move forward and not be just stuck in limbo. But yeah, it could be both. Although I imagine Sony would really want to do a Spider-Man 4 because No Way Home is their biggest movie ever by a by a by a hilariously large degree. I mean, No Way Home made like 800 plus million domestic, 1.9 billion worldwide. Of course, they want to follow that up with another Spider-Man movie. Why wouldn't they? And like with Venom 3, I mean, sure, Venom 2 did a lot worse than the first Venom, but still made over 500 million, which for like when it came out, like during 2021, that total looked amazing because the box office was real bleak during that time. So Venom 2 was seen as a hit. And the Venom movies, despite being objectively not very good, they have their fans. And so I imagine a Venom 3 would do well in theory. At least people would be interested in it. But yeah, we don't know what these movies will be. We won't know what these movies will be until Sony says so. Like we have no clue. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but we know we are going to get a Spider-Man movie next year, Beyond the Spider-Verse. Yeah. And I imagine Sony's feeling real giddy about that movie considering how well Across the Spider-Verse has been doing. So, I mean, that's cool. And then they got their weird villain movies that are just I just look at them and I'm just like, why? Like the only real hit you have is Venom because people knew who Venom was, but now they're trying to do more and like he had Morbius, which was Morbius, and then now we have Craven the Hunter, which is looking like another Morbius-esque disaster in the making. Um and then like a bunch of other movies they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why it exists. I don't get it. I don't get what the goal is with that, but whatever. So yeah, those are the mystery Sony Marvel movies. And I might as well mention this very fast. Argylle, yeah, I guess Argylle from Matthew Vaughn. It's supposed to be, I guess it was meant to be an Apple TV Plus movie, but apparently it's gonna be going to theaters with Universal Pictures like for February 2nd, 2024. before it will stream globally on Apple TV Plus. It's very much what's happening with Killers of the Flower Moon, where that movie's being distributed by Paramount, and that's supposed to come out in October. And once the theatrical release is over, then it goes to Apple TV Plus. The same thing's happening with Napoleon, with Ridley Scott coming out in November. Same thing. So I mean, it's good that these movies are getting theatrical releases. Not just being booted to streaming. I say like something like this is definitely a win-win for both theaters and streaming. Like it's not going to be a whole lot of problems with that. like like neither are going to be like compromised. So yeah, I don't know what to say about it. I don't know. I mean, this cast looks pretty good. Oh, Henry Cavill. Well, let's go. That dude needs some wins. Like he was screwed over so hard out of his Superman role. It was ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Makes me mad. But you got Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, Bryan Cranston, John Cena, Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, solid group of people, I'd say. But yeah, that happened last week too, and that's it. That is it. Nothing super exciting. Nothing that made me go, "Oh my god!" Like what happened with all those Disney changes with like the writer's strike. Like that shocked me. I'm amazed nothing else has happened with that yet. You think all the studios would be like, you know what? We should probably delay all our movies now, but they haven't done anything. It's kind of weird, but I feel like it's only going to be a matter of time. So now it's time to play that game. What will happen next? I mean, June is just about over, so no point mentioning that. Um, July, nothing should change like at all. It's way it'd be a real 11th hour change if that were to happen, but it's not going to happen. August, everything here should come out realistically. Uh, I am really worried about Blue Beetle. I after DC, they are 0-2 right now when it comes to their movies this year. And I feel like Blue Beetles is gonna be 0-3, but we'll see. But man, it is not looking good. And I guess September, all these movies should be fine. I guess The Nun 2 doesn't have a trailer yet, which or maybe I'm pretty sure it doesn't, which I think is kind of weird. Maybe to they'll wait to drop it like soon. I don't know. And then yeah, all the rest of the September movies. Craven the Hunter finally got its trailer like earlier this week. And ooh, it ugh. I mean, I don't even it's hard to describe. It looks just like so just why? That's the only word I can use. Why? Why Sony? Like this the whole movie feels like a mistake and I feel like it's going to please no one. But the least I'm hoping for is that it's like entertainingly bad, like a Morbius in a way. Although Morbius the movie was fucking awful. And then the only became entertaining because the internet made it entertaining. And I'm hoping the same thing happens with Craven the Hunter because I'm not really looking forward to it. But maybe it'll be fun bad. Who knows? And then you got the rest of October. And then you got November. Blah, blah, blah. Da, da, da. And December. And Aquaman The Lost Kingdom. I mean, I already know I'm not gonna watch it because of Amber Heard. I've made that clear on the channel that I refuse to watch it because of her and her presence, and not to mention those test screenings being like really, really, really bad. And yeah, the DCU it's gonna die a death, a very brutal death this year. I mean, you already had 2 deaths. You might have 2 more. So yeah, yikes. And they got all these movies that I don't know what's gonna happen to them anymore, and I don't care. And they got 2024. Oh, the El Morito with Bad Bunny. Who's gonna watch that? Honestly, like who? Who? I don't know. It's just ugh. Yeah, there's January, February, March. I know Elio. I imagine Disney is probably really freaking out over that because it's Pixar. Feels like Pixar is box office poison at this point, considering what happened with Elemental last week, this past weekend. Yikes. But at least we got Beyond the Spider Verse to look forward to next March. That should be fun, unless that gets delayed, which would hurt, but we'll see. And then you got April, May. There's Deadpool 3 next May. I'm really looking forward to that. Then you got June. Then July. Da, 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 da. Then August. Yeah. Flintstone. What am I saying? Flint Strong. What the heck is that? I don't really care. Let's just move on. They got September, October, November, and there's Wicked Part 1 in November. So pretty much December is looking like it's going to be a battle between Thunderbolt and Sonic 3. My money's on Sonic 3. I don't know about you, but that's what I think. I think that's where the smart money's going to go, towards Sonic 3. Oh yeah, there's the untitled Sony Marvel movie, whatever that is. Then you got 2025, January, February, March, April, May, June. And there's like the other untitled Marvel movie going against the live action Moana. Just thinking about that movie angers me. And then Superman Legacy. That oh, oh man, like Warner Brothers needs that movie to be like the greatest thing ever if it's gonna save their DC brand on film. Like that movie, that is a make or break movie for I think DC as a whole, honestly, because this year has been so embarrassing to a humorous degree, but also a very depressing degree. That yeah, Superman Legacy. If that fails, then kiss DC goodbye. um. So yeah, and then there's August, October, November, December. There is Avatar 3. Well, Wicked Part 2, that's now in November, so that's changed. And then Fast Furious 11, whenever that'll come out. No, that's in April. So yeah, and then that's pretty much it for the next 2 years. So yeah, I don't see anything really changing. I don't see like any red flags. So I'm willing to bet that whatever I talk about next is going to be real random. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn notifications, share the whole drill. We'll check out more videos like this. I got playlists on the homepage, all previous cancel episodes on the channel. If you want to watch any of the past ones I've done, there's now 195 episodes. If you want to watch any of them from beginning to now, I highly encourage you to do that, so go do it. There's also box office predictions, where I predict box office for movies. This weekend I have 4 movies to do. Ugh. God is a Bullet, No Hard Feelings, Asteroid City, and Past Lives. This is gonna be a slow weekend. I mean, June clearly peaked with Across the Spider-Verse, and it's been a downhill slide ever since. And I thought The Flash and Elemental would stop that, but they only made it worse. So, yeah. Yeah. But stay tuned for the weekend prediction videos. If you want to watch any of the past prediction videos I made, this year, or in the past, go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. June recap will come out around the same time as Dead Reckoning Part 1. June. Ooh. It's that I could just see myself that I could just see that video being super long because there's so much to discuss and literally all of it is negative with the exception of Across the Spider-Verse. So that's going to be a real fun video. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos on Man the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.